All right, so this is my project, File Convert. So just a quick overview. This is a client-server networking program. It facilitates file transfer and conversion between a client and a server. The client can upload files to the server, which processes and converts them. It converts them to PDF format before sending them back to the client. The primary goal of the software is to deepen my understanding of sockets, networking, and file handling with Python. So the program allows the user to see all files available on the server, so they can use it as kind of a file storage system. They can upload files from the client to the server and download files from the server to the client, as well as send files or directories to the server to convert to PDF. And those files are not visible to other clients. So only files uploaded to the server for storage are visible to all the clients. Um, the network connection is a client-server architecture using TCP protocol, just to make sure that it's a reliable connection for the file handling and file processing, and it's using port 5050. So I'm using JSON encoded strings to send back and forth metadata about the files, file size, file name, number of files, etc. It's using binary data to transfer the file data, and then acknowledgement messages are being sent back and forth as well. I wrote this program using Python. It's using sockets, Shutil, OS, JSON, FPDF, Pillow, and Pillow HEIF for image processing. There's some instructions here on how to set it up and run it on your own, and then some websites I found useful, and just some different documentation that were helpful. There's some things I'd like to improve in the future eventually. I want to have better error handling. That way, if things are crashing out, it doesn't just crash the client or crash the server if things go really bad. Um, I want to add additional formats. This is supposed to say .doc, that's the older version of Word files. I just want to make sure that they're being processed correctly. And then I want to also add the ability to convert email files to PDF, so .msg files. Right now it doesn't have that. I want to optimize it for large file transfers, so if they're doing a large number of files or just a large file. I also want to add a user interface for the client side. It'll just be a little bit easier to use than a command line tool. And then I want to improve security, just making sure that the files are properly encrypted and protected, especially if I open this up to more of a public setting rather than just on my local network. And then I want the ability to OCR PDFs, so allow the user to send a PDF to the file to the server, have it OCR'd so that it becomes searchable. And this will just help with, searchability of files overall. So now we'll go ahead and take a look at the code. In the server over here on the left, we are just setting our host to 127.0.0.1, which is just kind of the code to run it on a local computer. So I can't have this running on my Mac and then have access it from my laptop. I'd have to change it up a little bit and include the actual IP address. So then we set up our socket, we bind it to that host and that port, and right now we're listening for 5 clients. You could up this number or down it just depending on what your needs or wants are. And then we just set it up so that each client that connects is getting its own thread. And the thread is just to handle the choices being made. So then makes a thread of the connection brain for each connection, which just handles the choices made by the user on the client side. So then on the client side, we're then creating our socket and we're connecting it to that host 127.0.0.1 and the same port 5050. From there, it's just going to run this loop where it's going to print out the menu and then wait for a user choice. So they can choose 1 through 6 to see all the files on the server, download a file, upload a file to the server, or to convert a file to PDF, or convert a whole directory of files to PDF, or exit the loop. So from there, it's just going to keep going in this loop and sending that choice over to the server. And then on the server side, it receives that choice and it processes it. So depending on what choice is made, it will then start one of these other functions. So there's a lot of different things that it can do. The first option is just to see all the files. So right here, it's just going to get all the files in that server files directory and send back a string separated by new line characters to the client side. Then on the client side, it's going to process that. It's going to receive the files. It's going to split it based on that. And then it's going to print out the list of files so that the user can see all of the files available for download. There's functions to download the file, so they'll enter the file name they want. And then it will then process sending the file name back to the server so that it knows which file to send. And then if the file actually exists on the server, then the user will be prompted to tell the program where to save it. And then it will go through the process of actually receiving the file from the server. So if we look at the opposite side, so download file, and then on the server side, send server file. So over here, it receives the metadata, which is just the file name. It will then check if the file actually exists. So if it's actually a file, it'll send back exists, and then it will begin the process of sending the file back to the server. There's a lot of different things we can do with this. I think it'll just be easier if I show it. So I'm just going to start up the server. Oh, and I need to create clients. Go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so now you can see we have our connection here, and then we have our different options. So I'll just start with one. So then we see all the files. So available files, just test.txt. So then we'll go ahead and download that file. So we'll say 2, and we'll do test.txt. And we're going to put in, as you can see, it's starting to start this process. So we're going to go just into Finder, actually into my notepad because I have a, all right, so then we're going to grab a file name here, a file path here, and we're just going to download it into that directory. So we pasted the directory in, and then it went ahead and received the file to there. So we'll go ahead and just take a look at that. So that's in here in photos. So if we scroll down, we should see our test.txt. So it's there. So now let's go ahead and we'll just do the convert files in directory to PDF. So we're going to hit 5. And the directory that I want to do that in is this test one that I've set up. So it has a bunch of just images, has a TXT file, and then some Word documents. So we're just going to copy as path, paste this in, and hit enter. And then you can see the files are received over here, and it's working on the conversion process, and then it's sending it back. So received 16 out of 16. Doesn't look like there were any errors over here on the server side. So then we'll look back in that directory. Now we have PDFs of all of these files. So we'll go ahead and just open this one up real quick. And that's the image. We'll look at this module 1 plan PDF. So it just converts it into a searchable PDF. From there, we can just upload a file to the server. So we'll just do this module 1 plan. So I'm going to copy his path. We're going to paste that in, hit enter, and then it's going to say file sent. Now if we do 1, we'll see both of these. So we have module 1 plan and test.txt are now up there. So now if we start another client, now they will be able to see those files and download them. If we were, this takes a little bit of work because it's fast, but we're going to hit 5. I'm going to copy the test directory again as the path. So we're going to paste that in. So we're going to start running this process and then hit 1 over here, and you still only see these 2 files. You don't see all of the files that are being processed by the server right now, even though they technically are on the server until the processes are finished. So then we can go ahead and exit. We'll exit on this one as well. Then both clients are disconnected. And that's the program.